You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Since 96, MLS has been the youngest soccer league. From 10 teams to 30, playoffs and parity. That MLS bring local guests to cover games. Analysis firsthand, not Google like other lames. Stats and recaps cover the West and East. Can't forget, we're on Sean Johnson, watch every week. DPs for the elite, 10 Gam get you the vets. Playoff trees as American as it gets. It's time to turn off the world, grab a drink and let's go. We're battered MLS fans, so lock in on the show. Battered MLS fans, so lock in on
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, the Battered fans are back. Welcome everybody to episode number 76 of the Battered MLS Fans Podcast. I am your host, David Granada, and alongside me, as always, Mr. KBD. How are you doing, sir?
Decision day is upon us, my friend. Things are going to get very interesting.
And we are going to have a Decision Day episode this week, which should be very interesting, talking about all the things that can happen, the games that are important, what happens, the bracket, all that fun stuff. But before we get into the happy talk about Decision Day, because that is a happy day, trying to figure out where everybody's going to slide in the playoffs, let's talk about something that isn't as happy, a little more battered. The most disappointing MLS teams of the 2025 season. Now, I think that there are quite a few teams that disappointed. And then we did our top three. I did a top three. Chris did a top three. But there were some honorable mentions. So before we get into our top threes, Chris, honorable mention, if you want, I'll start off with something that maybe some people might not expect because they are technically a playoff team right now. But I'm going to say Columbus. Columbus, to me, was disappointing. Not top three for me, but definitely disappointing. Everybody said Will Fernandes is going to have this team on record. They started off hot. And everybody was excited. Oh, Will Fernandes, masterclass, Will Fernandes. And I get that they've been injured recently, but at the moment, they're sitting in 9th place. And if it wasn't for the rest of the East being so bad after the top 9, they might be fighting for their lives. So for me, Columbus was an honorable mention. You?
Well, and it's crazy that you mentioned that because they made acquisitions just recently to kind of fix things up. My honorable mention, and V Vega is here saying Galaxy. Mr. Krabs is also agreeing. LA Galaxy was also most disappointing. And yes, I am normal again. You say, I'll tell you right now, the honorable mention for me would probably be FC Dallas. They get Lucho Acosta. You think that he would make this significant difference? And FC Dallas,
and they had Peter Musa. Maybe obviously to a lot lesser extent, but I expected to see the combo between them two again, a much lesser extent, but kind of what we saw with Boagna and Son, how those two were like a match made in heaven, where they were playing off of each other. All of a sudden, Boagna is benefiting. I thought Lucho would give Musa some of that. I thought Musa would be scoring goals like crazy. Acosta would be assisting like crazy. And again, a lot lesser extent. I understand the qualities are different, but I thought that we would see some dynamic attack with those two.
Well, and not only that, but then you also have FC Dallas, even though they're sitting in the 8th spot at the moment, they're playing Vancouver this weekend with Real Salt Lake only 1 point behind them. Colorado also 1 point behind them. And if San Jose gets a win and Vancouver beats FC Dallas can be knocked out of the playoff run. So FC Dallas is sitting at a place where not only is the view from the camera for their games completely abysmal because it's just empty seats. They're still repairing it for some reason during the season. But now you're talking about a team that might not even play in the playoffs.
Now, I know that there's a team that you always like to bring up. You love talking about the Houston Dynamo. I don't know if that was in your top three or not. So, the Houston Dynamo
close.
make your top three? Okay.
No, it didn't make my top three, but it was a team that I was going to mention because they got Jack McClellan, who also was brought in to sort of make a difference. There was a string of games where they were doing really good, and I felt like they were trending well, but they just consistently haven't been able to pull through.
Well, Brooklyn Reigns has always been a player that I really like. Houston was one of the best defensive teams last year. They ended up like fourth or fifth in the West last year. So yeah, they fell off quite a bit. But I like Brooklyn Reigns. Real Salt Lake also was one of the top teams. Now I know that they lost some big pieces, but Real Salt Lake, another team that kind of fell off. But I think that one was a little more expected. So Columbus to me was honorable mention. Dallas, I think that's a good one. Also, both those teams are technically still in the playoffs. Montreal, although we knew that this was probably going to happen, they were in the playoffs last year. They were the 8th seed, and they were vying for the wooden spoon for a lot of the year also. So a lot of teams disappointed. Some of them expected. So I guess it's not as disappointing. And some of them are still in the playoffs, but then again, half the league makes the playoffs, so it's not that impressive. All right, Chris, you ready to start with our top 3?
Yes, absolutely. I'm ready to rock and roll. I don't know if you go first or if I go first.
No, I'll let you start. So your number 3 team.
So my number 3 team is going to be the New England Revolution. And somebody had mentioned it here in the chat. I believe Soccer Daddy said New England. New England is one of the 3 teams that I chose that were the most disappointing because they made an overhaul essentially of a bunch of players that they had last year, got rid of them. Porter was to coach the team, sort of fresh start. And then for those of you who watch it in Miami, Campana ends up getting moved over to New England. So from my perspective as a fan of that player, I became sort of overlooking the team. You have Carlos Hill, who can make a difference. You have Langoni, who also has been sort of fumbling as well. Chancalay has been a pretty decent player, but not consistent. And the defensive changes that they made were literally awful because they are one of the worst defensive teams in the league. So they went from a team that had some pretty decent projections, not to be top 4 or anything, but at the same time, be competitive. And they were one of the worst teams in the East.
I think that might be one of the most disappointing franchises over the last 5 years, period. They were the Supporters Shield champs just like 3-4 seasons ago. They went from Supporters Shield champs to all of a sudden just free falling. Yes, and I agree because I remember the first 4 or 5 weeks they hadn't scored an open play goal. They hadn't scored a goal, period. They only had scored a goal from Carlos Hill. I think it was a free kick and a PK. It took them like 4 or 5 games to finally get a goal, a goal in the run of play. So yes, that very, very disappointing. New England Revolution. You had predicted that they were going to be top 4, didn't you?
I did predict that they were going to be high. I don't know if I said top 4. But and then on top of that, they just got. I did, and on top of that, Matt Turner just returned, and I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to be a goalie on a terrible defense. I mean, at least you know for sure you got to block shots.
You got action.
Going to be sitting back there. Yeah. So yeah, New England makes number 3 for me.
All right, so that was number 3. So I'll start with my 3rd team, and my 3rd team is going to be the New York Red Bulls. The New York Red Bulls surprised everybody. Emil Forsberg last year, they said that the reason that they were so far down in the standings was because he was injured and they kept drawing, but he ended up getting healthy for the playoffs, ended up pushing them all the way to the MLS final, which nobody had on their bingo card. And this year they were supposed to take a step up. I don't know if anybody expected them to repeat as MLS Eastern Conference champs, but definitely expected them to at least be in the playoffs, and they didn't even make the playoffs, which to me is pretty wild. And I think that was one of the most disappointing things that I've seen this year is that you get the Eastern Conference champs, and on decision day, they're not even vying for an opportunity to make it, to get into the play-in. They are I think they were like 10 points behind the 9th seed. So to me, the Red Bulls, far and away, one of the top 3.
They're about 8 points behind. They're about 8 points behind the 9th seed.
So, yes. So, to me, number 3, the New York Red Bulls. All right, Chris, you are up for your number 2.
So, my number 2 is essentially going to be the San Jose Earthquakes. Now, this is another player who at some point came from Inter Miami, so I became sort of an overlooker of the team that he's going to, which is the San Jose Earthquakes. Essentially, Bruce Arena comes in. He starts to sort of clean house and make the
Everybody
team
starts
his.
getting excited.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I was a pig in poop, to be honest. Joseph Martinez goes over there, and they have Chicho Arango to add on to the attack with Joseph Martinez. Now, defensively, I just knew that they were going to be garbage. But you got Chicho Arango, you got Joseph Martinez, you got, you do have other players like Mark Anthony Kaye and Ian Harkes that ended up kind of being reinforcements, some midfielders and defenders. But at the same time, goals are coming. And in the beginning, they were kind of doing really well together, scoring. But at some point, you got to play defense. And San Jose was just getting trampled. Now, San Jose, like I mentioned, they are sitting, contending to try to get into the playoffs. I mean, they need a miracle. With 3 points, they go from 38 to 41 points, which can possibly put them past Real Salt Lake. If they lose, FC Dallas, if they lose, then they stay at 41 points. So San Jose, they got a tough sledding, and they need the numbers to work in their favor to get into the playoffs. That's a team that I thought was very disappointing. I don't know if you remember, but when we were covering the MLS early in the season, San Jose was sitting atop like the 3rd, 4th, 5th spot in the Western Conference at some point.
And everybody's really excited. Everybody's like, "Ooh, Bruce Arena. Bruce Arena's a genius. Bruce Arena. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he is a genius. He is a genius."
And he started bringing defenders from New England. Like, if you want to improve your defense, you don't bring defenders from New England. I think that was the beginning of his downfall this season. They've scored 58 goals, which I believe is top 5 in the league right now, but they've allowed 62, which I believe is 3rd to last. So, or 4th to last.
I mean, the only other teams that are worse than them on allowing goals is LA Galaxy, who sits at the bottom at 65, and then Sporting KC, who's allowed 70.
Yeah, so it's pretty bad. San Jose, definitely disappointing. And you just mentioned my number 2 team, the LA Galaxy, the defending MLS champions. I'm sorry. There is no excuse. I don't care if Ricky Puig went ahead and got injured and he didn't play a lick of minute this season. If you are the defending champions, there needs to be some type of championship DNA somewhere along that roster. Now, if you tell me that they don't make the playoffs, okay. They suffered a lot of injuries this year. That is true. Throughout the season, Painter was out for a while. Peck was out for a while. Puig has been out the entire time. I get it. But the fact that you go from defending MLS champions to challenging and possibly winning the wooden spoon, so you go from literally the champion one year to the worst team in the entire league the next year, that's ridiculous. That is, they should be number 1, actually, now that I think about it. But there's a team that I think was even more right. That's you can't drop any more. Like, it's impossible to drop any further. Yeah, I mean, but there is a team that I felt was even more disappointing than the LA Galaxy, so that's why they're number 2 for me. But that is crazy. And the fact that their coach ended up getting an extension during this poop fest is even crazier.
Right, that's absolutely diabolical. I mean, it just shows that there's changes that need to be made for sure. And Soccer Daddy's saying Galaxy was always a mid team.
All right. So I go to you now, Chris, for your number 1 team as most disappointing here in the 2025 season.
So when it comes to most disappointing, don't pull the trigger just yet. It doesn't have to be that they are sitting at the bottom of the table, right? Like, I can be able to pick any team, even if they're sitting within playoff contention, right?
Well, yeah, that's why I said I almost chose Columbus, because I feel like they're disappointing.
Okay.
From what everybody says about Wilfried Nancy, he should have been able to get them at least out of the wild card, and they're literally in the 9th spot.
So my number one is going to go to Inter Miami CF. In terms of disappointing, and this might be arguable, right? Inter Miami at this very moment is sitting at the third spot in the Eastern Conference, right? But the fan base in the fan base that follows Inter Miami had a lot of expectations. The owners had high expectations. The coach had high expectations. The players that the team has with Messi, Busquets, Jordi Alba, with Suarez, with the addition of Rodrigo de Paul, it was expected that this team was going to win trophies. And I'm trying to look at this as an outsider or just an MLS fan in general. If I look at Inter Miami, right, aside from Messi, I look at Inter Miami and I say, you guys lost the CCC. You guys got blown out by Vancouver, right? You guys lost the Leagues Cup. Wait, hold on. Did they lose the Leagues Cup to Vancouver, or was it that they lost
CCC Vancouver in the
CCC
semifinals?
Yes,
and Leagues Cup they lost to Seattle.
That's right. That's right. You lose to Seattle in the Leagues Cup. You had a red carpet in the CCC. You lose that opportunity. You competed decently in the Club World Cup. Good job. You get a participation award, right? I look at you as Inter Miami and I think to myself, other than Messi, I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared in any way, shape, or form. If I'm the Orlando, like if you notice, a lot of Inter Miami fans, they don't want any smoke with Orlando. Orlando is chomping at the bit for a matchup against Inter Miami. I mean, who in their right mind would look at a team with Messi and say, I want that? But with the way that things are panning out, like if you think about it, if Inter Miami doesn't pull off the MLS Cup, people are going to be talking about how much of a failure this period with Messi was in the MLS.
Okay, but the thing is, when you look at this, like you said, as an outsider, right? Because when we do this show, we try to take a step back from Inter Miami. And I think that you are looking at it from the lens of an Inter Miami fan. Because I think after getting eliminated by Atlanta last year and knowing that this season Inter Miami was a year older, I don't think that many people outside of Inter Miami thought that they would go ahead and win a bunch of trophies. I think people have been expecting this. I don't think that this is a disappointment for a lot of people. I think people expected them to not be winning the Champions Cup, winning Leagues Cup, definitely not the Club World Cup. And if you talk to people right now, I don't think that a lot of people have. I mean, some people might, but I don't think that everybody's necessarily betting the house that Inter Miami is going to win the MLS Cup. I think a lot of people have more doubts than confidence in Inter Miami.
Well, listen, I was on a show yesterday talking about who we predicted would win the MLS Cup without picking your team. And I mean, I couldn't pick Inter Miami. And I think it's foolish to not pick Inter Miami. But there were people that were on there that picked Philadelphia. There was people on there that picked Vancouver. Vancouver's a very hit or miss team.
But those are two top teams in the league. By the end of this weekend, they'll probably be number 1 and 2 in the Supporters Shield.
And there was someone that picked Seattle. So like,
Seattle, I mean,
Seattle, you can always pick and you can always pick them and 50-50. It's a 50-50 shot.
For sure. Yeah, the 50-50 they'll make it to the Western Conference Final one way or another. They'll scratch and claw their way over there. Okay, so Inter Miami is your pick. I think that maybe a lot of people weren't as disappointed with Inter Miami because I think a lot of people might have doubted Inter Miami, but that's fair. I took it another way. So my number one most disappointing team of this season was what was by a lot of people and the fans of the teams themselves, the winners of the offseason, the Atlanta United. I think Atlanta United is by far and away, and I mean this with every fiber of my being, by far, shout out to the Scarves and Spikes and Tommy Two-Time, by far and away the most embarrassing, disappointing, just putrid performance of a team this season. by far was Atlanta United and the crap that Chris Henderson gave you. The fact that they broke the record for their transfer fee here in the MLS with Latilath, which was later, I think, broken by Danke, or I don't know if it's still, I can't remember if it was between him and Danke, the transfer fee record. But regardless, they overspent on Latilath. How many goals did he end up with this season? Did he get to double digits?
I think it was 7.
They go ahead and they bring the nostalgia of Almiron back. They have him playing hard. I think he was playing out wide at first. He's horrible. Marinchuk doesn't mesh with them. It was a disaster of, the most disastrous team this year. You had Brad Guzan, which they brought back again, even though he was 57 years old.
7 goals.
And 7 goals. Latilath has 7 goals. You paid, how much money was it that they paid for him? Could you check how much money it was that they paid for him? 7 goals. And supposedly this was going to be the team. I went on the Battered MLS Fans preview show, and we gave our predictions. I was on there with I think we had Will from MLS Moves, and we have Fabian. And they both predicted the teams to be top 4. I said Atlanta will make the playoffs, and I was wrong. Go ahead.
4-year deal through the 2028 MLS season. MLS record $22 million transfer fee.
$22 million.
Plus add-ons. Add-ons.
Latilath, big disappointment. The team, a disaster. And it's hard to articulate it any other way. And where are they right now in the standings as far as the supportership? They are
right now.
There's a chance.
Atlanta. Yes.
There's a chance that DC United wins, Atlanta loses, and Atlanta ends up at the bottom of the East. There's a chance that DC United wins, the Galaxy win, Kansas City win, and Atlanta loses, and Atlanta ends up with the wooden spoon. And you won the offseason. You got the savior, Chris Henderson, who was supposed to be the genius that built the Inter Miami squad, the guy that gave Seattle their CONCACAF Champions trophy a couple years ago and won all those MLS Cups, the brain, Chris Henderson. You got Ronnie Dyla, the MLS winning coach with NYCFC back in 2021. You put this all together. You cooked up the perfect team, and you get the wooden spoon. You are a disgrace. Wooden spoon, biggest disappointment. Shout out to Scarves and Spikes.
I just want to mention here, because LA Galaxy play against Minnesota. So there is a possibility that LA Galaxy end up taking an L and just staying right where they're at. Sporting KC, on the other hand, actually play against the Houston Dynamo. They also are tied with the points. So there's a possibility that they can collect some points against a flailing Houston Dynamo. Maybe not. But the fact is that, they're in competition for the wooden spoon after paying millions of dollars. And on top of that, Almiron came back. He's not making a happy meal.
Do you remember who was that they got from DC United? They're like, oh, DC United, they just got a DP player and they're paying for his contract. Oh my God, this team is just, oh wow. And I forgot who was this Slushy, somebody, I forgot who it was. It's just this team was
Sleesh.
It's just I don't even know. We got to talk to the guys from Spars and Fights to see where they go from here, because this team was just an embarrassment this season. So
Mateus Cleach.
Your boy Brooks Lennon. It was just all types of disastrous over there in the ATL. But here we are. So these were, in my opinion, these were my 3 most disappointing teams. Chris had his 3. I mean, I don't get the Inter Miami one, but everybody gets their opinion. And I guess in the chat later, when you watch this afterwards, you could agree with either one of ours, or you give us your own, who you think the 3 worst or most disappointing teams were. So, Chris.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
We got a lot of stuff cooking in the kitchen, guys. So guys, take a second. like the video, subscribe, tell your friends about this MLS channel, and let's chill together, guys. Come on, let's get a latte light and let's hang out.
We're gonna be coming on a lot more often, especially with the playoffs coming around. We're gonna have a lot more guests from different teams talking playoffs, talking teams that disappointed, right? The teams that flamed out and didn't make the playoffs. We're gonna have people on here talking about those teams. And then R&R said it's between Atlanta and DC United. I didn't have any hope for DC this year. I don't know if anybody did. So I don't know, but Atlanta for sure. So yeah, we're gonna be coming on here and a lot more often, talking a lot more. And then this week we're gonna have a fun show because we're gonna be doing Decision Day episode where we break down the games, the implications of every game, and kind of what the brackets could look like.
I just noticed DC United have 29 goals for. The lowest.
That's terrible. How many did Benteke have last year?
Benteke
won the Golden Boot last year. I think he scored almost that many by himself last year. He had 24 last year. 25.
I don't even want to talk about DC United. I'm so annoyed at DC Benteke. Like, I'm done with them. I'm done. Like, the fact that
Benteke
they
had 23 goals
the
last
fact
year.
that they live with this guy. Look at that. Oh my God, 6 short.
By himself last year. Shout out to Juan de Oliveira. We have not heard about anything, but you haven't heard the last of that because we're going to keep pushing for that. So we're going to be coming on. We're going to do a Decision Day show this week. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or Thursday, but we're going to do a Decision Day show where we break down this week coming up the matches and the implications for each one of those games. So that should be fun. So make sure that you check us out for that and that you subscribe if you haven't already. Any final words, Chris?
No, that's it, man. It's good to go. Decision Day is upon us, and we got some stuff cooking in the kitchen. So hang tight. We'll be back in 5, I guess.
Absolutely. If you're listening on audio, appreciate you listening to the end. Please leave us 5 stars, comment, review, all that other good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching to the end. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and tell your friends. We got a new MLS show. It's not new, actually. It's we're fairly old, but we're coming on a lot more consistently now. So make sure that you go ahead. If you haven't already, go Fabian Rankel on his Twitter, voting for the best MLS show. We're the best. So make sure that you write it and let them know we're the best.
We're the best.
And for those of you in the chat, as always, you guys are the best part of the show. We appreciate you hanging out with us for the last 28 minutes, and we will be back to talk Decision Day. So until the next one, have a good one.